The pursuit of San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk continues. Browns seem heavily interested. Pittsburgh Steelers seem desperate to get it done. All the latest on the latest Locked On Browns, which starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB, and the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. Join the everyday crowd. Don't miss anything. Subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone. Every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Brandon Aiyuk. There may not be a hotter name in the world right now. And like his name right now is probably like Taylor Swift hot. Browns certainly seem interested. Now, there's a lot of talk about, where Brandon Aiyuk would accept to go. And I'm not sure we're getting the full story there. Cleveland Browns certainly have their quarterback, of the foreseeable future under contract. New England Patriots believe they have their quarterback under contract for the foreseeable future. A lot of people seem to think that Pittsburgh is Brandon Aiyuk's preferred destination. That part I'm not so sure of. Justin Fields, certainly Russell Wilson, both there on one-year deals. Yes, the amount of money Brandon Aiyuk is going to make is going to be fantastic wherever he goes, whether it is New England, whether it is Cleveland, whether it is Pittsburgh. He is going to make an obscene amount of money. But, the question is going to be, he could be working through, a new quarterback as soon as, the season ends in 2024 in Pittsburgh. If all goes well in Cleveland, which I think it will be, he'll know whose quarterback's going to be for the foreseeable future. New England, we'll see how they're going to handle everything they certainly have going on there. We all know that Drake May is obviously the plan there in the future there for the New England Patriots. But here for the Browns, look, they have no problem probably accommodating the money. A lot of people believe that Amari Cooper would be part of the package going back to San Francisco, which would be fine for them. Don't have to pay Coop much in 2024. Most likely San Francisco would move on from him. San Francisco money is going to get tight really quick. You're not going to be able to have the advantage of the Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant contract much longer. Brock Purdy is going to get cashed up, and deservedly so, of course. But also Cooper has a lot of appeal to the 49ers, a lot what they have going on. So much of it is, the way they play, the way the offense is schemed. It is a great, great job by Shanahan, of course. But the question certainly comes down to the fact that, who is going to be that guy? Who's going to run the slant on 3rd and 6? Who's going to run the skinny post on 3rd and 11? And, that's where it's just a pure route runner like Amari Cooper can come in and would be able to fill the void kind of losing a guy like Brandon Aiyuk. Look, San Francisco did themselves no favors. They had to see where the money was going. Wide receivers were getting, bloated, worthy contracts all offseason. So, Brandon Aiyuk, for not taking a snap, certainly from February throughout the entire offseason, the value just continued to go up and up and up. San Francisco had to know this. So San Francisco probably had the best chance to get the best return in trading Brandon Aiyuk right around the NFL draft. That should have been the time to do this. I don't know if they thought they were going to get Aiyuk to take less money. I don't know if they thought they were going to be able to figure a way out to, basically, finesse their own finances to be able to get, Aiyuk into a number that satisfied him and certainly worked for them as far as their cap. You got to keep in mind the San Francisco 49ers pay a top 10 payroll to their offense in the NFL, also pay a top 10 payroll to their defense in the NFL. So it's not that they're strapped, NFL teams can find a way to do it, but that is a lot of committed money and a lot of contracts to work, just a tough spot for, San Francisco. You draft well, you build a great roster, unfortunately you're not going to be able to keep everybody. Now the appeal for the Cleveland Browns, look, and none of this is a knock on Amari Cooper. It's not, because, Amari Cooper has been a fantastic, and I've said many times, he's been one of the best best moves by the Andrew Berry regime up until this point. But you do get to a point where you don't ever want the move to start to look sour. I'm not saying that Amari Cooper's play is going to step down this year. But the Browns would look at this and say, here are guys who over the last 2 years have very similar production, Brandon Aiyuk and Amari Cooper. Brandon Aiyuk comes to Cleveland. He's probably going to see more targets than he saw in San Francisco. So you look at what Brandon Aiyuk did the last 2 years, his production most likely would go up in Cleveland. There's just no doubt about it. There's just no question about it. His production would go up. He is 26 years old. So you're getting guys who over the last 2 seasons had very similar production. Brandon Aiyuk's career is probably hitting, its apex. Amari Cooper, even if he doesn't drop, he still is a fantastic player. But you would have a wide receiver room locked down if you're the Cleveland Browns. This year, Elijah Moore would be part of it. As we know, Elijah Moore is a pending free agent. But you would still have Brandon Aiyuk. You would still have Jerry Jeudy, both of these guys on extensions, because if you're making a move for Brandon Aiyuk, you're extending him right away. You would still have 2 more years of Cedric Tillman. You would still have 1 more year of David Bell. You would still have Jamari Thrash and his rookie deal, which would be a 4-year deal. So it is a great, great move for Cleveland to possibly be on and to possibly get done. You're foolish if you're the Cleveland Browns to not have interest in this deal. You were getting your number 1 receiver at 4 years younger. You're paying now because it's only going to go up. We know this. Cap's going to go up. Salaries are going to go up. So you can get that done and handled now. And like we've seen so many times with the Browns, they sign somebody and it seems like a real high dollar amount. And then you go back 1 calendar year, 2 calendar years, and all of a sudden somebody who was maybe the highest paid at their position in the entire NFL is all of a sudden middle of the pack. So the Browns could get a chance in early to extend Aiyuk and have that contract pay dividends for them down the road. Does it get done? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure because there's multiple levels here. Brandon Aiyuk wants his money, wants his extension. The San Francisco 49ers want to be satisfied with what they get back. I have a hard time believing San Francisco cannot get back a first-round pick for Brandon Aiyuk. I have a hard time believing that. I just don't know I necessarily see that happening. I think the player is worthy of a first-round pick. If anybody gets Brandon Aiyuk for a second-rounder and a player or 2, I think it's a great, great return for the team getting Aiyuk. Maybe not the best return possible for the San Francisco 49ers. But again, this is on the 49ers. This needed to be something that was probably more, front of the stove as far as things that got done this year. Aiyuk was not going to change, and every week and every day that a wide receiver got a new contract, Brandon Aiyuk's number just went up, 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 and up. We'll see if it works out. It would be a great addition. I certainly don't want to see him in Pittsburgh, and maybe we'll all just follow Pretty Ricky to see how it turns out. We're going to continue here. Your latest Locked On Browns. We're starting to get some of the bigger names returning to Cleveland Browns practice. We're going to talk about them. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Everybody, stick around. I absolutely love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Locked On Browns continues. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. As always, we appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. Become an everydayer. Don't miss anything. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show is always available, always free wherever you get your podcasts. We've certainly talked a little about the Brandon Aiyuk situation, and at the time of this recording, there is still no resolve there. You've started to see over the last couple of days, and anybody who's got questions about this, because this happened today, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was back on the practice field. But your first day back, you're probably not doing team activities. So if anybody notices, you are starting to see a trend here. So don't be surprised if Shelby Harris comes back and these other guys come back, that they may do their individual stuff. They may do 7-on-7. They may do, on-air type of stuff. They're not going to do team stuff right away. Real quick, Zadarius Smith knocked knees yesterday. with Jerome Ford. It was diagnosed as a knee contusion shortly after practice, still diagnosed as a knee contusion. I don't think it hurts much for Zadarius Smith. I doubt Zadarius Smith was going to play this weekend, if at all, during the preseason. But good to hear on that front. A lot more Alex Wright, certainly a lot more Elijah McGuire signed a DN today because they're going to need guys just to play in this game this weekend against the Green Bay Packers. But you saw Jerry Jeudy. And Jerry Jeudy, first day came back, obviously got involved. Next day did some team stuff. And you saw it right away. You see what the Browns envision with Jerry Jeudy. Amari is such a great route runner and a do-it-all receiver. And look, Amari can get deep. But just because, equate to a baseball player, Amari Cooper would be a guy that hit 330. He wouldn't be a guy that hit 40 dongs. Whereas Jerry Jeudy is going to be your home run hitter. And you're going to start to gravitate, and you're going to work Jerry Jeudy off the vertical stuff back into the shorter stuff. You want to put the fear of death in some people. And Jerry Jeudy is certainly a guy that's going to help with that, certainly Cedric Tillman to what he's doing this point in camp. The second-year guy is definitely putting people on notice. But you were starting to see what the Browns envisioned when they brought in a player like Jerry Jeudy. It is very, very impressive to see what this kid has done to this point. To get and see what the vision is of this Browns passing offense, having the uniqueness of David Njoku at the tight end position, having, whether it's Cooper or maybe Brandon Aiyuk, but Jerry Jeudy, and then Cedric Tillman, the jitterbug of Elijah Moore, still leaves a guy like David Bell, still leaves a guy like Jamari Thrash. The Browns are going to be able to throw the ball and throw the ball effectively this season. And, for any of the naysayers, and I know there were plenty who, weren't a fan of the Jeudy deal, and I get it, and probably weren't even a bigger fan, probably weren't certainly a fan of the extension that the Cleveland Browns handed out to Jerry Jeudy. But you can see what the Browns see in Jerry Jeudy. Their thinking is, if we can get top shelf Jerry Jeudy 10, 12 games a season, Jerry Jeudy gives us a second 1,000-yard receiver. And to get him in, and just, it's been slow, certainly. And, look, the Browns have always been this way. So I think I see a lot, this guy's not practicing, this, that, and the other thing. It's tiresome. It's played out. The Browns know what they're doing. They know how to take care of their guys. They don't push things. And I've always told you this. If a player tells them, anybody in the Browns medical staff, I'm good to go today, it's usually, well, we'll see you tomorrow. Or, if they're not sure on Friday whether or not a guy is ready to go, well, you're not going to play. You're going to play when you're as close to 100% as you possibly can be. But Jeudy has certainly starting to show the signs of what made him, in the Cleveland Browns' eyes, such a valued commodity to get their hands on, and certainly a guy they pursued multiple times. One other thing you've seen to this point, and certainly Jedrick Wills is not there to this point. Obviously, DeJuan Jones is playing the right side, so we we know who the names are that have been trying to play over at left tackle, and once Myles Garrett is involved in anything team, it's just not helping the offense in any way whatsoever. He is just that dominant. Quentin Jefferson even spoke today and said, I have never seen anything like this. I have never seen anyone like Myles Garrett. When we talk about Myles Garrett, if he has 11 and a half sacks before December 29th, he will have 100 career sacks before turning the age of 29. Unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. So when Myles gets on the field, gets involved, gets in these drills, it's not good. It basically disrupts the flow and the timing of everything as far as what the offense is trying to do. He is an absolute monster. And if you want to value edge over maybe left tackle, which certainly some people will do, Myles Garrett very well just may go down as a better Cleveland Brown than Joe Thomas. No disrespect to Joe. He's been on the show. Joe's my guy. Always good to me. But Myles Garrett is probably on a path where he is going to be considered one of the best Cleveland Browns ever. And when they do those lists, a better Cleveland Brown than Joe Thomas. Absolutely nuts to think of, absolutely unheard of to even say, but it's trending that way, legitimately trending that way. So you see, where the Browns are. And look, this roster, and look, a lot of guys not in practice right now, some guys dinged up. This roster is stinking loaded. 3 deep at safety, brand names. 3 deep at cornerback, kind of pretty much brand names. JOK, Hicks, linebacker position. Pretty good, pretty brand names. We know the DNs, and we're going to get to see a lot this upcoming weekend, starting against Green Bay, of the Alex Wrights of the world, of the Zay McGuires of the world, probably Sam Kamara as well. And you just continue to see the development of these guys. We're going to get to see a boatload of Mike Hall. We're going to get to see a boatload of Juwan Briggs. We're going to see a boatload of Siaki Ika. Second year, 2 rookies. It's nuts. And the offensive side of the ball, we know the offensive line. I just listed you the wide receivers, David Njoku, and the Nick Chubb thing. And look, and if I've learned anything in my 8 years of covering the Cleveland Browns, and because I was a little bit past when I started, and I was probably dumb about that. I will fully admit it. I take complete ownership of it. So I took a shot here, took a shot there, and probably didn't think about it and was pretty stupid to do so. But if there is one thing I learned, is when Mary Kay Cabot will not get off something as far as a talking point, she keeps bringing it up. And I refer to it kind of like a dog with a bone. When Mary Kay keeps bringing back something that everybody kind of ruled as dead. And if you remember, Elijah Moore was one of those things she did. One is Brandon Aiyuk that she keeps bringing up and keeps bringing up and keeps bringing up. But now it's this one where, we may see Nick Chubb come off the pup list before camp is over. And that's crazy. I mean, we hear, he's cutting, he's running full speed. We're hearing a lot of positive things. And, again, I don't know how much he plays this year. I don't know how cautious the Browns play. Do they not play cautious at all? But the fact that she's putting something like that out there, and you got about 3 weeks, I would say, before, he can come off that list and do some things in training camp. He probably not going to play any preseason games. Let's get out of this, that realm or whatever. Let's get back onto a practice field before we can talk about that. But when Mary Kay keeps broaching a subject and keeps kind of basically relighting the flame under it, it certainly deserves your time and your attention. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Another day where Browns practice ended up going inside, but the offense, after a tougher day on Monday, was cooking inside on Tuesday. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Look, it's getting to that time. We are in August, and with more wild cards in Major League Baseball, the games become that much more important. So many teams in it. And if you want to go see your Guardians, or I want to go see my New York Mets, Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. It makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. They got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. They have last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% if you're really persistent in buying last-minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. They got flash deals. You save even more with an exclusive in-app deal on select seats ahead of the game or the event. They're all in prices. You toggle on the feature, shows the total up front. No late minute fee as you get to the checkout. You know what you were paying, especially when you get to that last final checkout stage. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. Appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. Join the everyday crowd. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show is always available, always free wherever you get your podcasts. Look, the offense, a rough day on Monday. And look, this is kind of what I thought here. The Browns defense, yes, there's a lot of guys not participating right now, but we know how good the Cleveland Browns defense is. So with the new offense, a lot of newness, a lot of new coaches, a lot of new offensive coordinator trying to put in some new things. There are going to be days where they struggle. Monday was one of those days. Tore it up in the practice bubble today, and I hope you like the practice bubble. All we're going to say is, did you think that you were not getting the dome? Once Jimmy Haslam was this heavily invested, he was not fixing up Cleveland Browns Stadium. He's taken the act to a better and more beautiful and more modern building. It was just always going to happen. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you dislike it. It was always going to happen, so just let it go. But you see Deshaun Watson and tearing it up in practice on Tuesday. Jameis Winston, big one to Jalen Darden, big one to Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman with another big one from of course, Deshaun Watson as well. This offense and the capabilities of what they can do in the passing game to get this excited about what the Cleveland Browns passing offense can do. When you keep in mind what they are practicing against, who they are practicing against, the depth of the Cleveland Browns secondary, the talent of the Cleveland Browns secondary. They are getting in very good work every day against what we all know was a top-notch secondary within the NFL last season. So it is really, really going to be impressive. It's going to have to be consistent. Everybody's going to have to stay healthy. You're certainly going to need your starting tackles, Jedrick Wills, and certainly Jack Conklin. And you can have DeJuan Jones rotate in and wherever he needs. But it should be a very, very good Cleveland Browns offense. It should very well be the best Kevin Stefanski offense in his time in Cleveland to this point. Does the Brandon Aiyuk thing drag out for a few more days? I'm hoping it doesn't for all parties involved. Whoever is going to make the acquisition for Brandon Aiyuk wants to get them acclimated as quickly as possible. Whoever is going to San Francisco, a team with legit Super Bowl aspirations, obviously, with legit aspirations to win the Super Bowl, obviously. Whoever's coming to them, and they do need offensive line help, so don't be surprised if somebody going back to San Francisco in a Brandon Aiyuk deal is an offensive lineman. It is something that San Francisco is looking to upgrade, or at least get, maybe not even upgrade, just get a little more depth, a little more quality at the position. I don't know the truth to the rumor of that package that they think the Steelers offered, but if you think Calvin Austin and a guy who's not good enough to start on your offensive line and a second-round pick is going to get you Brandon Aiyuk, you're foolish. And if Pittsburgh even offered that, they're lucky they even got back to the table to discuss an acquisition for Brandon Aiyuk, because it's kind of like saying, I'm not eating the rest of my dinner. I got a half a Diet Coke in the fridge I was going to throw out anyway. Oh, and a $20 bill. Like, it's such a terrible, weak offer. Does it happen? When does it happen? And there's a lot of layers again. So the Brandon Aiyuk watch will continue, and it's really tough. And I absolutely hate that people are asking Browns coaches, are asking Browns players, are asking Kevin Stefanski, who of course didn't comment. You make a move like this, it's going to disrupt some people in your locker room. It's probably going to upset some people in your locker room because somebody's going, a wide receiver's going. Most likely Amari Cooper could be going to San Francisco. If the move happens, you comment on it afterwards. You don't bring these things up when you're getting head coach availability, player availability. Nobody wants to talk about this stuff. If it happens, then it needs to be discussed and it needs to be addressed. You don't talk about the possibility your team might acquire so-and-so. I mean, you got to stop, and they got to ask better questions. I understand we get more media availability this time of year, so everybody's struggling, and everybody's trying to get a question. They get answers so it can go on to either their show, their channel, this, that, and the other thing. But you got to keep in mind and be cognizant of what you are asking these guys. We're going to continue. I can't believe we got a football game coming up Saturday, so we're going to roll on through this week. I have every intention of going, with a post-game show right after, so certainly excited to see. Like I said, we're going to get a lot of Michael Hall. We're going to get a lot of Briggs. We're going to get a lot of Ika, a lot of Alex Wright, a lot of Zay McGuire. What we know at this point is Deshaun Watson will not play at all in that game. Jameis Winston is going to start. Some select starters may see up to 10 plays. Don't get your hopes up. You're not seeing the headliners. That probably ain't going to happen, so don't even think about that. But Browns still in the pursuit of Brandon Aiyuk. Team is progressing nicely through camp. We will talk to you guys all tomorrow. I am Jeff Lloyd, your host here at Locked On Browns. I appreciate everybody who makes the show their first listen every single day. Become part of the everyday crowd. The everydayers, they are my people. They're a bunch of sickos, but my people are sickos. So become a sicko, become an everydayer, subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.